else to say. But words have let us all down. We are in the waste now. If we choose to lay down, let them bring our wage down. Nancy, once you face down, pray. If you find resilience in your faith, it's on all of us to lead the way. It takes all of us to lift the weight. We were told it's normal and required that we suffocate. Wait, I will not be carried to my grave in perfect health and perfectly awake. The earth is not the sweetest of escapes, but the surface is the merciless and purpose-sick place. Don't stay. Tell him that he doesn't have to stay. Hold his hand and let him slip away. There is nothing here that's worth the wait. Nothing good is waiting in the wings. Don't stay. Oh, don't stay. Don't stay.
It's just frozen in time. Frozen in time. Only so much shot through the eyes. Shot through the eyes. Lives just frozen in time. Frozen in time. Only so much shot through the eyes. Shot through the eyes.
And the liberals said, "Thank you, Obama, for life in the red. Thank you for DAP and a pat on the head. Thank you for saving the banks, as millions are drowning their debt. Thank you for all of the fluff and the nothing you said. Thank you for proving we eat up identity politics. All of your policy better forgotten. Just tell us what books you read. Tell us what record was top of your playlist, turning a wedding to Day of the Dead. What Quavo song went along on a heavy rotation, bombing Iraqis in bed. When they told you that 90% of your kills are civilian, what Jill Scott chorus was stuck in your head? What put you at rest after such a long day of convincing a nation it wasn't so deeply misled, that you weren't just Reagan with new age media training, who fed on our hopes like his daily bread, who preyed on the weak, who was never unwilling to serve you a speech to remind you the middle class needed to bleed, and you helped us succeed if you learned to accept it, and better yet, learn how to laugh as they bled. Round of applause. Laughter erupts. Mike gets dropped. It's the end of his set. And the crowd, once hungry, are now unstunned from the glow of celebrity, which is impressive, especially since they're contented to sit and be civil while all of the donors are fed. They thin out the herd by 1 million a week if it gives the elite an illusion of peace, like they're out of the path of the future we reap, and they won't be debris in the wake of its tread. But the future is now, bathe in the sound, drown in the dread. Hide in the lounge, hire more guards at your gatehouse, hire someone to come build you a safe house under your shed. Hide with your diamonds and files, the files you keep to yourself and the files you keep for the feds. Hide in the dark for a while and watch all the value regress. Watch all the worth of your wealth on this earth melt down in a pool with the rest of the cess. The affluence left over after the worldly collapse of the affluent. After it's back to the dirt with the rights of their birth, privileged smirks and their unpaid taxes, #blast. This has all been a nightmare, capitalism was only a test. So you need not weep and you need not repeat what the liberals said. We will not be saved by people who say that the water is safe while they look in your face and they pantomime sips of lead. Honey, nobody's lifting us out of this mess.
that's how it goes. We won't open our eyes, so we're the last ones to know. We're the last ones alive, kept our enemies close, wondered why we don't thrive, while we're grasping at ghosts, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5.
Count back from 5. The theater on fire, the cast on strike. The studio stock starts taking a dive. The contract's tossed and they're gone with the tide. And the heads and execs, their hands are tied. We can't pump this dreck and treat you right. But what do you expect from the industry type who survive by the leeching of bodies and minds? From those who original thoughts never seem to find. So they're gonna reboot ALF before your wages rise. And it gives cause to pause and reflect on the times. If they're losing control of their fools and their mimes, when all those obedient actors who grew their careers by averting their eyes are now holding the line, along with the authors of countless scripts that strengthen the hand of that corporate grip, squeezing our throats till we take the pen and we accept and consent to the corporate drip, till you're all up to date on your pharma du jour, till you got a healthy support for the war on your lips. And now you know that the advertisers need more than a rerun summer full of flashback clips. Enter the scans from the year before, all the days of de-aging and mapping the face, and the hours of actors recording their voices are links in the chains that will bind them in place. Now all of those shows are so easy to make. When they got a drone they control that needs no break, it can bend, it can break, and it's cheaply replaced enough up-to-date films all in one take. And those studios bank on us doing our duty, unhinging our jaws and digesting the fakes, because they know that we'll love how synthetic it tastes. Watch as they edit your features without any trace. Not that there's anything you could do anyway. Now watch as they show you a movie you saying shit you would never say. Dystopia boldly accelerates. Maybe you're only a mold, something to fill with a clone, something that Elon would celebrate. Something they own, something they program and code, something that's woefully able to know it's exanimate. Cause it doesn't feel touch over top of the laminate. You will not feel an emotion, but they will not scan and examine it. You and the other consumer contaminants fed on the federal diet of Kiev, Havana, and Tiananmen. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment.
Where did you think we'd go? Love, there's nowhere to lie. Guess it's not who you know, more it's what you can hide. Like we're chained to the floor, they're streaming us live while we're watching the war, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? What's up, fam? We made it to another Tuesday, amazingly enough. Congratulations, because you survived another week. We all did. This is now my thing. I guess we made it. That's basically, it's about all I can say. We made it. Oh, Mary, yeah, I'm with you. This is getting a bit overwhelming some days. It's a sadistic wreck of demon cannibal incompetent arrogance that's not worth the power of attention for which it so relentlessly begs. Well, we're gonna kind of stick away from U.S. politics this week a little bit. of course, U.S. overshadows everything, but we're going to really focus, I think, a lot on what's happening in the UK. We're going to talk about, of course, what's happening in West Asia, because that's now the new thing that we're not even calling it the Middle East. That's a Western term for it. So now we're calling it West Asia. That's what they would prefer to be called. Okay, I'm fine with that. We're also going to talk about the one thing that I am going to talk about domestically is ICE. And Jesus, man, what a mess there. And Golden Monarch, who's probably already in the chat. If not, he'll be here later, I'm sure. Wrote an article about Bitcoin Vegas. I want to bring the end of that article and talk about that. We're going to have a little bit of fun tonight. And Driving Me Macy, good to see you. I see you here. Can't afford gas anymore. Got to get the real horsepower. Hey. You, justice is coming, and it ain't coming soon, okay? We don't even know that guy's name around here anymore. So, yes, you want to be called the Grand Poobah. What's up, Descent? Good to see you. I see Angel is there. Ice, fuck Ice. Yes, fuck Ice, big time. Yeah, shout out to Monarch. He hadn't published anything in a while, so I did definitely want to bring that one. And we're going to start Nature Boys over there over on Rumble. I see Nature Boy. He does the Third Rail podcast over on Friday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern, over on his channel, AM Wake Up and The New Prisoners. If you haven't checked that out, he does some really good interviews. I was a guest over there once, and we're trying to work out when I can get back over there, but that's a challenging time slot for me with kids. But good show and great conversation over there. Okay. Before we get started, support independent media. I put this up beforehand with the great Jesse Jet Music. Those are the amazing people that have already supported INN. I really appreciate every one of them. If you're not on that list, you want to join that list, the ways to do it are there. Cash App, $ Indie News Network. If you do co-fi.com/Indie News Network, it'll pop something up on the screen. PayPal.me/Indie News Network. And for monthly, we can do Patreon.com/Indie News Network. You can also do monthly over at Substack at IndieMediaToday.com. That reminds me, we're not live there yet. We're going to be live there in a minute. So we're going to have to welcome Indie Media Today. And then INNNewsletter.com is the other Substack I publish to with a monthly, with a weekly update with all the podcasts, shows, and videos from INN throughout the week. Welcome to Substack. What's up, Indie Media Today? We're just going live over there. And that should start filtering in any minute if it hasn't already. Catalin Poda, first to join. Welcome to you. How are you? All right. Now we got Substack coming in. What's up, everyone? Okay. Welcome to Indie News Now Live. We cover independent stories here. We talk about independent news, and we try really hard not to showcase corporate media, because fuck corporate media. They suck, and they're trying to spin awful narratives and lie on behalf of Zionists, and it's a mess. So, before we get going, like I just said, before we get going, support independent media. We're going to get started with a fun one. And you probably have heard about this story a little bit. It showed up in most people's feeds. Banksy. All of a sudden, Mayday, Banksy shows up with a new statue. Yes, new Banksy artwork, a man blinded by a flag. He's literally walking off a plinth, blinded by a flag, covered with the flag covering up his face, for those that are listening on the podcast. Now, the quote, the tweet that I'm quoting here says, this motherfucker put a whole ass statue in the middle of the street overnight and didn't get caught. So I thought that was interesting, and I said, how the hell could they have possibly done that? Well, we're going to find out a little bit more. Right? The same thing. How did they get that there? Well, Banksy, the official Banksy Instagram, put out a video. Okay, let me unmute this. This was that morning to show how did they do it. And I just said, you're something else amazing. All right, they were at Pall Mall. And they're showing how they brought a crane in at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'll probably get DMCA'd for this, but I don't care.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's a nice statue up there. I prefer that. Yeah.
That's great. So I've got more. Yeah, that's incredible, right? Right, Mary? It really is something else, right? So check this one out. So now I got this guy.
Waterloo Place. Suited man.
Apparently this is Banksy. Maybe. I don't know. So Reuters spent months trying to unmask Banksy. A Greek builder got caught in the crossfire. Banksy then installed a full bronze statue in the most surveilled postcode in London overnight. The builder showed up at the plinth the same morning. This is the builder. Watch this. Most people did not see this tweet and did not see this video.
Oi, mate, you saw the new drop? Waterloo Place. Suited man stepping off a plinth. Flag wrapped around his face. Stop being a toy and ask me what it means. Only a toy would ask what it means. And an even bigger toy telling you what the artist meant. The artist meant a man in a suit blinded by a flag. It's proper simple, mate. If you play capture the flag too much, you get captured by the flag. Be more concerned about my back carrying them statues around. Just kidding, mate. I am super strong. It's polyethylene. Chill, for real. Exit through the gift shop. Oi, mate, you saw...
How great is that? Like, okay. So, we're excited. This is cool. This is like, they're fucking with people, right? Because this just dropped in the middle of Pall Mall. They showed up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a truck, a crane, a crew, installed this thing, and bailed. And everybody sees that in the morning, right? Except, okay, let's do a little bit of digging. The man who made that statue had been anonymous for 30 years. He's worth $50 million, allegedly. One of his paintings shredded itself live at Sotheby's in 2018 and then sold 3 years later for $25 million. Reuters identified him 7 weeks ago. He still won't confirm. I'd say he kind of confirmed. His real name is most likely Robert Gunningham. I don't care. He was born in Yate near Bristol in 1973. Legally changed his name to David Jones around 2008. David Jones is the second most common name for British men. Perfect cover. Also Davy Jones Locker. He started painting on Bristol walls in the early 1990s. By 2000, he had switched to stencils, which let him work fast and dodge the police. His first famous mural in 1997 was a teddy bear throwing a Molotov cocktail at 3 police officers. And here's a short list of some of the work that he's done. In 2003, he walked into Tate Britain disguised as a pensioner and stuck one of his own paintings on the wall. Over the next 2 years, he did the same at the Louvre, the British Museum, MoMA, the Met, the Brooklyn Museum, and the American Museum of Natural History. His fake stone in the British Museum, showing a caveman pushing a shopping trolley, stayed on display for 3 days before staff noticed. In 2005, he painted 9 pieces on the Israeli wall in the Palestinian West Bank. In 2010, he directed Exit Through the Gift Shop, which you just heard, the Exit Through the Gift Shop thing at the end, a documentary about street art. It was nominated for an Academy Award. In 2015, he opened Dishmaland, a fake amusement park inside an abandoned English seaside resort. It drew 150,000 visitors and brought £20 million to the local economy as a fake amusement park. In 2017, he opened the walled-off hotel in Bethlehem. Every room overlooks the Israeli wall. It still operates. In October 2018, his painting, very famous, Girl with Balloon, sold at Sotheby's for £1 million. The instant the hammer dropped, the canvas slid out of the frame and shredded itself in front of the buyer. The auction house renamed it Love is in the Bin. 3 years later, that same buyer sold the half-shredded canvas at the same auction house for 18.6 million pounds because the art world is completely fucked. It's also a great way for the wealthy to launder money, by the way. In 2020, he painted Game Changer, showing a boy playing with a nurse doll dressed as a superhero. That was for COVID. It sold in 2021 for 16.8 million pounds, gave the entire amount to the NHS. In 2022, he painted a series of murals across a war-damaged Ukraine, including a judo fighter throwing a much bigger man. According to the Reuters investigation, he traveled there as David Jones. Last September, he painted, and we covered this on the show, a judge beating an unarmed protester with a gavel onto the wall of the Royal Courts of Justice in London. It was scrubbed off within hours. Except after they scrubbed it off, it still left a shadow, and they literally covered it up with a box and padlocked it so nobody could see it. This week, he installed the statue in that tweet on a traffic island in Pall Mall. He said there was a bit of a gap worth filling. In March, Reuters identified him as Robin Gunningham. Their evidence? A signed confession from a 2000 New York arrest for defacing a Marc Jacobs billboard, plus immigration records showing a man called David Jones entering Ukraine the day that Banksy's Ukraine murals went up. His lawyer has said that he has chosen to say nothing. Right? Great. I mean, I love how he's trolling the whole world. All right? But not everyone is necessarily 100% on board with this. The right-wingers can't stand this guy. They think that because of his politics and because he pokes fun at the wealthy and the aristocratic class, that he's in cahoots with people. And we're going to talk a minute about why while this is a hilarious troll and a great thing, at the same time, there are some questions to be asked. All right. And here we go. And I'm going to go to an Indie Media Award honoree, Kit Knightley over at Off Guardian. Okay. So Kit, he says, how believable is Banksy? Now, I disagree with a lot of what Kit has to say here, but I think that his opinion and his take here is important for everyone to see and to take in, even if we disagree with it, because we want to be caught up and we want to believe that this is genuine and real and that they really just did all this and that everybody was completely cool with it, except how? 2 days ago, a new statue appeared in Waterloo Place, London. Located between Pall Mall and Trafalgar Square, and only a few hundred yards from Buckingham Palace and Horse Guards Parade, the new artwork depicts a man stepping off a plinth, blinded to his fate by the flag he's carrying on a staff in his hand. The resin statue is allegedly the latest work by guerrilla artist Banksy. His signature appears on the lower corner, and it has been authenticated by his official Instagram account. The Pest Control Office, responsible for authenticating the anonymous artist's works, have yet to comment. I'm sure they will. You'll note the quotes that I put around the word appeared in the opening sentence. I used that word because that's the word the media are using. It's the word it used by the Arts newspaper, for example, and the BBC, and CNN, and CBC, and the Independent. Are we getting a theme here? And the Smithsonian, and the LBC, and NBC, and the Times of India. Kind of a narrative. And then even on Twitter's trending topics page appears. The I mixed it up a bit, going for pops up instead, right? And people added the word mysteriously. But statues don't just appear, do they? Mysteriously or otherwise. They have to be made, transported, and then placed. How was this done? Well, we saw the video. Well, the BBC attempts to answer this question in this article, which headlines, "How did Banksy erect its statue in central London?" Which is literally when I saw the thing, I posted into our DM threads. How the fuck did they do this in the middle of central London? and offers the explanation via James Peake, host of the BBC's Banksy Story podcast. He's got a really big team who are a very, very experienced crew. They're the sort of dudes who could set up a Metallica concert in 24 hours. Groovy folks, but actually extremely organized and professional when it comes to getting things done. They've probably surveilled the area, worked out what happens when, gone in the early hours with a low loader truck, and then probably sat in it for a few minutes at the quietest time possible. Banksy's really big team of groovy folks even posted a video showing how to on social media. That's the video that we showed. That has over 1.5 million likes on it. This was all done without knowledge of or permission from the Westminster City Council, according to the BBC. Westminster City Council has told the BBC it didn't grant permission, as it was not given advance warning that Banksy's team was planning this installation. And here's where we start to ask some harder questions. So, how will the local authorities respond to the appearance of this unsanctioned artwork? Well, you might think that the police might be involved, and a team from Scotland Yard are going over the relevant CCTV footage, even as we speak. After all, there must be CCTV footage, right? The statue was erected in one of the most recorded areas of one of the most recorded cities of the second most recorded country in the world. So, you get names and faces and the license plate of their flatbed, and hand out citations for illegal artwork construction or unlicensed sculpting or whatever the relevant laws might be. And of course, the statue would be removed. Because London's a busy city under a severe terror threat, no less. Don't forget about that. We're going to talk about why in a minute. So they can't possibly just let people dump 20-foot statues around the place willy-nilly. After all, the next one might have a Novichok dispenser hidden in it or be carved entirely out of C4. Remember, this is within throwing distance of Buckingham Palace. It's the only rational response. Criminal investigation plus removal of statue. Things are going to happen, right? Well, not exactly. A Westminster Council spokesman told the BBC, quote, "We're excited to see Banksy's latest sculpture in Westminster, making a striking addition to the city's vibrant public arts scene. While we've taken the initial steps to protect the statue, at this time it'll remain accessible for the public to view and enjoy." Okay, as of Saturday morning, a protective barrier had been erected around the statue, and there were no plans as yet to have the art piece removed. So it's probably staying put for a while. After all, it's a welcome note of calmness and humor, according to the BBC's John Simpson. Right? Because that's the world we live in, right? We're not oppressed to the least, especially pro-Palestine supporters, right? Sure, you won't be able to drive without surveillance technology soon, and they want to track all your online activity. They might have to ban some protests. Again, we're going to talk about that. But if you and a big team of your groovy friends wants to rock up to the center of London in a flatbed truck at 3 a.m. and do some anarchist artwork, you totally can, and the authorities would not only be powerless to prevent you, they won't even try to hunt you down afterwards. Hell, if it's good enough, or a welcome note of calmness and humor, they'll even put a protective barrier around it and let it stay up with an avuncular smile for the daring anti-establishment scamps who so pricked Westminster's pomposity. God bless them. But nobody wants to talk about this farce of Fantasyland world building. They all want to talk about the art and how meaningful it is. And surprise, surprise, the critics love it, which I understand. So again, this is kind of, he's pissing on your cornflakes here. I get it. But we also have to kind of suspend the illusion a little bit. So why wouldn't the critics love it? The message is so topical. The poor fool is blinded by his flag. Nationality, identity, and tribalism are leading him off the edge of a cliff, and he just can't see it. Maybe we should all have a lovely multipolar global government with no borders or anything. Again, that's a little kit weirdness there. It's genius. See, now for me, it's insert the flag you believe belongs there, because everybody's blinded by their own nationality, and everybody has blind spots within their own country and within their own home. He said it's like during COVID when the anti-establishment anarchist dread pirate Banksy took the controversial stance of depicting nurses as superheroes to raise money for the NHS. Take that, establishment. Banksy's done it again. Again, fuck you, kid. That's kind of douchey. But I get it. You know, I wanted to bring the fact that not everybody was happy about this statue appearing, and that it may not have completely been done without anybody's knowledge. And even if it had been, they're not treating it like they would have treated any other pro-Palestine protester who had put something up like that, artist or not. Considering that, yes, I saw that there was a Zionist that put a Palestine flag on that and a keffiyeh there. I saw someone put a big Israeli flag there with an American thing there. Again, it was choose your own adventure, which is one of the beauties of the statue itself. So I thought that was something worthy of talking about. All that flag needs is a cross on the tip of its staff. Sure. I mean, you can make it a religious one too. Sure. What was that Iverson premiere? Oh, God. Who's that? I don't even know who that is, Monarch. Nurses are superheroes. That's right. They sure are. Fred's only had 7 operations on one hip. Only nurses got him through them. Look, we got nothing but love for nurses. So, again, like I said, fuck you, Kit. I thought the contrarian perspective was important to take a look at, well, the town would just allow this, and the Metropolitan Police would just allow this. The Metro cops are arresting fucking 85-year-old grandmothers for holding pro-Palestine signs, but they're going to allow this thing to stand? It's embarrassment, right? Like, that's humiliating them in a way by doing this right underneath their noses. 100% to the nurses agreed, Sean. I love you, man. All right. So that was a little fun with Banksy, but beautiful statue. I love the conversation to it. The fact that it's getting people to talk about a bunch of stuff that they wouldn't necessarily talk about. And this is what he does. He starts shit. He starts controversy. So well done. Well done, sir. And holy shit. I mean, the creativity of that thing, walking off the plinth with the flag over it. I mean, who comes up with that stuff? Well, Banksy does. Well, Banksy's got 50 million pounds on a thing, but I don't. So support independent media because we need it more than ever. Thanks to those people, we do have enough money to operate every year. We really appreciate them. Cash App, $ Indie News Network. Over on ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. That'll pop up a thing on screen. PayPal.me/Indie News Network. And you can do that one time. Do that as friends and family, no fees. Patreon.com/Indie News Network is for monthly or annually. You can do over at IndieMediaToday.com, where we're live right now, and at INNNewsletter.com, where we are a member of Indie News Network. I'm a co-founder, and we put out a weekly update there. There are 4 other podcasts from Nobody Wants to Work Anymore with Snow Himbo and I. That's going to be on Thursday nights. This Thursday night. We do it occasionally. INN News every Wednesday night with Reef and Colin. That'll be tomorrow night. We do boat smashing into other boats on Sunday nights. And the INN one-on-one interview series is also over at INN Newsletter. So there's definitely reason to subscribe over there. And again, a weekly update that goes out with a recap day by day of everything that was put out throughout the network across all our platforms. Okay. Hi, everybody. Yeah, hello, nurses. Macy, I know that Dissent is a nurse and feels very strongly about that. Vicky, how are you? It's controlled opposition. I mean, is it? You're talking about Banksy? Certainly it's done with a wink and a nod, and people are not necessarily upset by it, right? So I don't know where to describe this, where to put him in all that. Though I did also hear a bunch of right-wingers complaining that he's kind of a liberal and he's, on board with the establishment stuff and the establishment narrative. And I don't know. I know that he makes some fucking killer artwork. That's what I know. So, yeah, I mean, the one on, for Palestine, I remember the little girl, the one with the balloon. My God, it's haunting. Okay. We're going to get to our next story where we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with Israel, of course. Why is this not zooming in more? Zoomies. Okay. So we're going to start with a story that was broken by Declassified UK. I'm a big fan of theirs. They've been an Indie Media Award honoree since the first class. And this is one of the co-founders, Mark Curtis, who published this. Why don't UK media mention the Israel lobby? Because they're part of it. So he did a somewhat deep dive investigation here talking about, and this is a short piece, Britain's national media fails to recognize the influence and even the existence of an Israel lobby, our new media analysis shows. Nothing surprising here, but again, important to note. And I've got a couple of stories here about how the Israel lobby is shaping how UK media covers stories to ignore or promote things like false anti-Semitism. And that's what we're going to talk about. It's this whole Golders Green stabbing thing. That's the context we're going to get to here. Before we get to that, Declassified researched 2 years of reporting by 7 British media outlets and found only 16 mentions of the phrase Israel lobby without speech marks. Nearly all of these mentions are in comment articles rather than news pieces, and none we found expound on what influence such as an Israel lobby might have. The phrase Israel lobby, used with speech marks, is slightly more common in these outlets, with 26 mentions in 2 years, and tends to be used to quote others in a disparaging way or to suggest such a lobby doesn't exist. For example, one Guardian article refers to the trope of the Israel lobby. The Daily Mail reported in May 2024 of hecklers at a speech by then Foreign Secretary David Lammy, accusing the MP of having taken shady money from the pro-Israel lobby, which he did, on the grounds that he once lawfully accepted 30,000 quid from a Zionist lobbyist named Trevor Chin. All true. In fact, British businessman Chin has funded Keir Starmer and several Labour ministers and was awarded the Israeli Medal of Honor for his dedication to and love for Israel. Of the 7 media outlets analyzed, BBC articles, Express, Guardian, Independent, the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, which is being sold, and the Times, the BBC and the Express are the most extreme, and no mentions of the phrase Israel lobby used without speech marks could be found at all in their publications. We know why at the BBC. It's because of a man named Rafi Berg. And Declassified and Matthew Kennard published that investigation. Here we go. BBC is failing to mention the Israel lobby while having regular meetings with it. That would be a disclosure thing, wouldn't it? As Declassified recently revealed, the BBC held 9 meetings with Jewish groups strongly sympathetic to Israel in the first year of the Gaza genocide. The Guardian, who fucked them because they fucked over Julian Assange, was found to have made only 5 mentions of an Israel lobby without speech marks, 3 of which are in comment pieces by columnist Owen Jones, who we have issues with for a whole other set of reasons. Mostly because he's only he gets there right halfway, too late, and a lot of the journalists that I respect can't stand that guy. By contrast, independent Scottish newspaper The National, which has consistently criticized UK policy towards Israel, has mentioned the Israel lobby 23 times in the 2-year sample period, never in speech marks, because it acknowledges that it's a real thing. Right? The Israel lobby in Britain is extensive. Declassifieds revealed that a quarter of MPs have been funded by pro-Israel individuals and groups, as have 1/2 of Keir Starmer's cabinet. No, nothing to see here, right? Neither of these findings have been reported in the mainstream media as far as Declassified's aware. What a surprise. British ministers and officials are known to hold off the books meetings with pro-Israel lobbyists. Under Keir Starmer's government, the Foreign Office has held numerous meetings with pro-Israel advocacy groups such as the Board of Deputies of British Jews and the European Leadership Network, which is ELNET. The UK government's total proscription of the Lebanese movement Hezbollah in 2019 was the work, of course, of pro-Israel lobbyists, while the lobby group We Believe in Israel has taken credit for the UK government's proscription of Palestine Action last year. So tell me there's no pro-Israel lobby when they're literally pro-Israel lobbying groups taking credit for getting groups proscribed as a terrorist organization. As long ago as 2009, a landmark Channel 4 documentary, Inside Britain's Israel Lobby, which was presented by journalist Peter Oborne, revealed the close relationship between the Israel lobby and the Conservative and Labour parties and its attempts to curb criticism of Israel in the media. Those are the 2 dominant parties in Britain. The Israel lobby's influence over UK politics is likely to be greater than any other states, except perhaps the United States, and certainly far more than Russia. I don't know if I agree with that, which has received decidedly more media attention. Although Putin himself said there are 2 million Russians living in Israel and that Israel is like an extension of Russia. So, I don't know if I buy that necessarily 100%, but it's good to have the context and to have their take on it. Now then we have to the Friends of Israel. That's like the real influential group. The British media's failure to explicitly acknowledge an Israel lobby comes alongside nearly 300 articles in these 7 outlets during the 2 years mentioning either Labour Friends of Israel, LFI, or Conservative Friends of Israel, CFI, of which dozens of MPs are supporters. Always, I'm sure, in a positive light. These lobby groups are invariably mentioned in the media without any analysis of their influence or even that they're explicitly part of a lobby that advocates for goals which benefit a foreign country, such as opposing an arms embargo on Israel. The Independent, remember that's owned by the Saudis, has mentioned the phrase influential Labour Friends of Israel group 3 times, and the Times once, without mentioning how it's influential. That's done by design. Yet, CFI has been the largest donor of free overseas trips for MPs in recent years. Guess where those trips go to? And both CFI and LFI refuse to provide a list of their funders. Sure, that's completely legit and on the up and up. LFI says its work is funded by the generosity of members of the Jewish community and those who share our commitment to the state of Israel. That's called Zionists. That's a pro-Israel lobby. It adds that it does not receive any money from the Israeli government or the Israeli embassy. Maybe not directly, but if the embassy funds it through an organization that then gives it to LFI, isn't that coming from the government? That's some mental gymnastics right there. The Times has mentioned the phrase Israel lobby without speech marks on only 4 occasions in the 2 years, but has mentioned Labor Friends of Israel in over 50 articles. That LFI might be part of a broader Israel lobby has apparently not been spelled out by the Times to its readers. What a surprise! Right, then we got more articles. Part of the lobby. These omissions might be because the 7 media outlets we analyzed often function as part of the Israel lobby that they refuse to sufficiently recognize. The most extreme is the Telegraph, which routinely publishes articles in support that are supportive of Israel during its genocide in Gaza, its illegal war in Iran, and its brutal genocide now in Lebanon. The paper has recently called to restore UK military ties to Israel while they're committing genocide. Headline with Israel condemns hateful and racist Greens, and published an article by pro-Israel writer Jake Wallace Simons headlined The Case for Trump Attacking Iran, among many other similar articles. I can't imagine whether he was paid by the Israel lobby or by Israel itself to write that article. Some articles in these outlets suggest that recognition of an Israel lobby is antiseptic. One opinion piece in the Telegraph runs, anti-Semitism is a conspiracy theory about how the world works. You think you live in a democracy, it runs, but actually there's this secret invisible system of Jewish power that rules the world through the banking system, the media, and the Israel lobby. It doesn't exactly work that way. No, it is a Zionist power that runs between Christian Zionists, Muslim, Arab Zionists, and Jewish Zionists, all 3 of them that all benefit from the current power structure the way it is. Similarly, The Guardian reported on Labor MP Diane Abbott in May 2024, stating she apologized for liking tweets about the influence of the Israel lobby, which she admitted could be interpreted as an anti-Semitic trope. Sure. The Guardian has been found to cave into pro-Israel pressure to amplify Israeli propaganda and to be responsible for the same systemic bias, deliberate distortion, and deceptive underreporting on Israeli crimes as the rest of the British media, because they are captured as well. When the vice chair of LFI, Damien Egan, was forced to pull out of a school visit in January of this year due to pressure from a pro-Palestinian group, both the Independent and the Times chose to focus on Egan simply being Jewish, headlining Jewish MP's visit to local school canceled after pro-Palestine campaign. Nothing about his endorsement of genocide. Over 100,000 people have recently signed a petition calling for a public inquiry into pro-Israel influence on politics and democracy. But I'm sure, just like DNA tests in Israel, that will never be permitted. Again, Declassified UK, Indie Media Award honoree. All right, Mark Curtis. Our media analysis covered the period of April 7th of 2024 through April 7th of 2026 using the Nexus Media database and conducting website searches of the 7 media outlets. Very simple, transparent about how they arrived at their numbers. All right. So that is to the level to which the UK corporate, the mainstream media distorts stories on behalf of the of Israel, to the point where they won't even acknowledge that there's an Israel lobby or acknowledging that there is one anti-Semitic. It is in this context that we now begin to look at this Golders Green incident. We go to a guy, I think I brought an article of his or two in the past, Declan O'Mulrooney. Okay, clearly not American. The Golders Green stabbing has a 3rd victim, a Muslim man. But the British state apparatus doesn't want you to know that. Yes, 3 people were stabbed. A recently discharged psychiatric patient attacked people of multiple faiths. The official narrative mentions 2 of them. Can you guess which one was left out? And this I found fascinating because of the way that propaganda spreads. Look at our Prime Minister, Sir Kid Starver. Good day, spectators. And remember, he calls his readers spectators. A few days ago, a man walked out of a psychiatric hospital in South London. Over the course of several hours, he stabbed 3 people. One of them was a Muslim man named Ismail Hussein, attacked at his own flat in Southwark in a personal dispute with someone he had known for approximately 20 years. The other 2 were 2 Jewish men attacked in Golders Green, a neighborhood with a very large Jewish population. 3 victims, 3 attempted murders, 3 lives nearly ended by a man who, by all accounts, was in the midst of a severe mental health crisis. Yet, you wouldn't know this from reading the British mainstream media. Even many spectacle readers told me they were completely oblivious to this information. That is because of journalistic malpractice. The BBC, Sky News, and other major outlets, the official statements from Metro Police and Prime Minister Keir Starmer have focused almost exclusively on the Golders Green attack. The narrative has been locked in place. An anti-Semitic terrorist attack, 2 Jewish men stabbed, a community under threat, the terror threat level raised to severe. Remember the Banksy story where we said that the terror threat level was raised? This is why. And a crackdown on pro-Palestine protests conveniently justified. The 3rd victim, a Muslim man, has been almost entirely erased from the official story. So let's talk about the erasure. The Metropolitan Police charged Essa Suleiman, a 45-year-old British national born in Somalia, with 3 counts of attempted murder, 1 relating to the attack on Ismail Hussein in Southwark, and 2 relating to the attacks on the Jewish men in Golders Green. This is Essa Suleiman. Yet, when the police declared the Golders Green incident a terrorist incident, they conveniently forgot to mention the Southwark attack at all. When the BBC reported the story, the headline focused on 2 Jewish men. When Sky News and others followed suit, the pattern was identical. The attack on the Muslim man was either buried deep in the article or omitted entirely. Not relevant? The court documents are clear. Prosecutor Emma Haraway told Westminster Magistrates Court that Suleiman had a medical episode during his arrest, was taken to hospital, treated, and discharged before being transported to custody. He had been a patient at the South London and Maudsley NHS Foundation Trust and had been discharged in the days before the attack. Channel 4 News confirmed this directly and also confirmed the identity of the 3rd victim and reported the attack on him was a personal dispute, not a terrorist act. This was information available to every major news outlet, but most chose not to lead with it. We all know why. Suleiman also has a documented history of violence stretching back years, including a 2008 incident in which he stabbed 2 police officers and a police dog. Were they Jewish? A referral was made to the UK's Counter-Terrorism Prevent program in 2020 and closed the same year because he was deemed to not be a terrorist. He was living in supported mental health accommodation before the attack. Every indicator points to a man in the throes of a psychiatric crisis, not a coordinated terrorist plotting an anti-Semitic campaign. But nuance doesn't serve the political project. So we get the locked comments, of course. What's most telling is the response on social media. On Twitter, users have been adding community notes to posts from the Metro Police and Sky News and the BBC, pointing out the existence of the third victim and the attacker's documented mental health history. Here's the Reuters. This is one of the wire services, right? The truth, the paper of record, the thing that can be disseminated around the world. Propagandists appears in court over stabbing of 2 Jewish men in London. Nothing about a Muslim man also. 2 Jewish men and a Muslim man who he also knew. And there you go. There's the community note that's been added. Community notes are significant because they require consensus around a broad spectrum of users to be approved. So when you see a community note on a state-affiliated account, you know the public has noticed the gap between the official narrative and the truth. Okay, again, here is the Metro Police saying 2 men stabbed in Golders Green, which isn't untrue because there were 2 men stabbed in Golders Green, but there was also a 3rd man stabbed that they never mention. He allegedly stabbed a Muslim man on the same morning. Yet the posts remain locked, comments disabled, and the state propaganda apparatus apparently uninterested in your views, public opinion, or anyone who questions its narrative. It's there to broadcast. You're there to receive. The weaponization, and here we go. This is where the story moves from media distortion to political weaponization. Starmer has seized on the Golders Green attack to justify a new crackdown on pro-Palestine protests, specifically calling for the arrest of anyone chanting "globalize the Intifada" and describing it as an incitement to terrorism. So this is problem, a reaction solution type of thing, where they already had the solution ready to go before the problem actually happened in response to the inevitable reaction. The Metro Police announced it will review whether upcoming marches can go ahead. The terror threat level has been raised to severe, a decision announced within hours of the attack. And that's a great question. Why was he permitted to leave the hospital unsupervised? I'm not really sure. Maybe he had been discharged for whatever reason and evaluated, but then had snapped. I don't know the answer. All right, here's another BBC post where the comments are locked. The logic is transparent. A demonstrably mentally ill man, a recently discharged from psychiatric care, who attacked 3 people of multiple faiths, is being used as justification to restrict the civil liberties of hundreds of thousands of British citizens who wish to protest their government's complicity in a genocide. The Stop the War Coalition has explicitly rejected the connection, noting that the attempts to link the stabbings with pro-Palestine marches are false. And they're planning a major demonstration on the 16th of May to mark Nakba Day, commemorating the 1948 displacement of Palestinians. The government is now using a stabbing to try to stop it. This is how the state apparatus works. It takes a chaotic, messy human event, extracts the elements that serve its political purposes, discards the rest, and broadcasts the resulting narrative across every platform with comments locked, community notes ignored, and alternative perspectives delegitimized. A terrorist attack requires a crackdown. A crackdown requires a justification, and a justification requires a narrative. So Ismail Hussein, a Muslim man attacked in his own flat by the same perpetrator who attacked the Jewish men in Golders Green, has been edited out of the story because his existence complicates it, because including him would raise questions about why this was declared a terrorist incident rather than a mental health failure, and because acknowledging that the attacker attacked someone of his own faith undermines the entire anti-Semitic framing. The Golders Green stabbing is a tragedy, and that's not up for debate. 3 people were nearly killed. A man who should have been receiving psychiatric care was instead roaming the streets with a knife, and the mental health system failed him like it fails so many. But the political exploitation of this event is a separate crime, and it's being committed in plain sight. Ismail Hussein exists. He was attacked. He's a victim of the same perpetrator who attacked the Jewish men in Golders Green. His existence should not be a political inconvenience. The fact that it's been treated as one tells you everything you need to know about the state of British media, British politics, and a government in authoritarian drift, desperate to manufacture consent for its crackdown on dissent. So frustrating. The next time you see a headline about a terrorist attack or a rise in anti-Semitic violence, remember, the story you're being told has been curated. The comments are locked for a reason. The community notes are there for a reason. And somewhere, a Muslim man named Ismail Hussein is recovering from stab wounds, wondering why the world has decided that his suffering doesn't fit the narrative. And on that thought, I'll let you go. And as always, thanks for reading. Make sure to subscribe, and do please give this post a heart and a restack below too. From Declan. He's also independent, so I brought this. I thought that was a really good article, kind of summarizing the omission and elimination of an inconvenient narrative. So we're just not going to talk about it. And we're going to spin the narrative exactly how we want to spin it for our benefactors. Clearly, this was not an anti-Semitic attack from what it appears. And our friend Gordon Dimmock, the eloquent as ever, this was the Sky News report, again, reporting that there were 2 counts of attempted murder, even though there were 3. And here's the community note responding, claiming, correcting the record, saying that there were 3 and not 2. Okay, where I believe the Sky News one is also locked from comments, right? But Gordon Dimmock, they do not give a single fuck about the Muslim victim. Not a single fuck. Our media are a bunch of racist, white supremacist cunts. Indie Media Award honoree Gordon Dimmock. Go follow him and support his work. And I thought this one was a perfect summation of what we had here. Yes, he actually did say their dissent. To make the jump from a mentally ill man attacking 3 people, 2 Jews and a Muslim, to saying that pro-Palestinian marches must be banned as a consequence is totally irrational, bizarre, and downright Orwellian. This lunacy from our politicians must be challenged. Agreed. It almost, getting back to this, Mary, to answer your question, why was he permitted to leave the hospital unsupervised? Maybe they were trying to craft a narrative so that they could justify this kind of crackdown. Let some crazy loose that is going to pop off. Something to think about. Again, total speculation on my part. All right. But you know me, I immediately drop to, go to the conspiracy. But yeah, we just brought a bunch of independents there. We don't really like corporate media. And we pointed out how much corporate media spins and lies on behalf of their advertisers, benefactors, funders, owners, and the Israel lobby, which does exist. So, support independent media like that, because we need it more than ever. The ways to do that for this channel, and everyone there has done so. Cash App, $ Indie News Network, ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network as friends and family, because we're all family here, patreon.com/Indie News Network for a monthly. Over on Substack at Indie Media Today, we're actually streaming live there right now, or at INNnewsletter.com. That's also on Substack. That's for the network that I am a co-founder of, and publish a weekly update for all of the network activity throughout the week on Fridays. And of course, our website, IndieNewsNow.com. I curate You know, we built this site to curate independent news 24/7 automatically, completely ad-free. We also stream live there, and there's access to our merch store. So you can pick up some merch there, t-shirts, hats, tank tops, hoodies, stickers, you name it. All right. I got a couple of more stories. We can get to a lightning round, and we can get out of here for the night after that. But we got to get to our Fuck Israel segment, because they are forcing me to do one every week still, because they are continuing to murder people with impunity. They continue to steal land, steal the resources underneath, and destabilize an entire region of the world while capturing narratives and media narratives in order to spin things, either to deflect from what they're doing or to outright distract from what they're doing, to get people looking at something completely different. We're going to start with this man who is a Pulitzer Prize winner, Mossab Abu Toha. He says he's so heartbroken. Israel, this was the other day, April 30th. Israel, this Friday or Thursday, Israel's just shot his 30-year-old aunt in the chest while she was sitting with her 3 young children in a school shelter in Jabalia camp. She's in critical condition. The bullet pierced her chest and exited through her back, devastating her lungs and spleen. The moment she was hit, she was holding her 1-year-old son. He fell from her lap as she collapsed and was found bleeding from one of his ears. He just spoke with his uncle, who told him that Israel had been using subsonic bullets lately. He said his sister is the second mother in the camp to be shot in the chest today. Please pray for her and our family. Her husband was abducted by Israel in November in 2024. We still have no word on his condition. Can you imagine having to live like that, with the specter of knowing that that's around and looming all the time? The perseverance. And of course, there's no medical facilities with anesthesia and proper, equipment to be able to really rehabilitate her. Just absolute monsters. But the monstrosity continues. The global Samud flotilla, we've talked about that in the past. Okay, they decided to do another trip to Israel with the largest collection of boats ever. And Israel decided that they were going to intercept, like in international waters, 700 nautical miles from Israel's waters, borders. This is illegal. It's kidnapping at sea. It's piracy. So what happened? They took 2 of these activists, Tiago Avila and Saif Abu Kash, and they've held them until today. Rumor has it, and they told their lawyers that they were severely beaten, tortured, threatened. I've got a couple of pictures there from the video. Crispin Flintoff shows solidarity with Saif and Tiago, who've both been kidnapped and beaten by IDF. Mainstream media and the bought political class duck a violation of international law, so we all have to speak up for them. And there's Tiago. Tiago's got some marks on his head you can clearly see. Maybe boot marks. I saw today on Twitter, unfortunately, that Tiago's mom passed away today while he's still in an Israeli prison. He also wrote a letter to his daughter, which I'm not going to read today. Here's Ali Amoro, who had been on one of the prior flotillas. An Israeli court has extended by 2 days, this was 2 days ago, the detention of 2 global Samud flotilla activists from a Gaza-bound aid flotilla after prosecutors sought a longer extension over security-related allegations. Lawyers for Tiago de la Vila and Saif Abu Keshik say no charges have been filed, because that's what they do, The two remain under interrogation and are being held in isolation, according to an advocacy group. They're trying to break them. Fuck Israel. Israel also quietly issued new maps that show its forces now control nearly 2/3 of Gaza, with a new orange line extending beyond the area agreed to in the October ceasefire. Why isn't every major news outlet covering the fact that Israel now controls nearly 2/3 of Gaza? This is insane.
Control of Gaza. It has sent new maps to aid groups, sources said, which have not been released publicly. The latest version shows a freshly restricted area marked out with an orange line. It extends.
Okay, so if you look, this is the original yellow line, which is plenty far enough. Now this new orange thing further extends from the middle here, right? And you see more down to the south as well from here. Now is coming up like to here.
Beyond the yellow line zone occupied by Israeli troops agreed in the US-brokered October ceasefire. Reuters acquired the maps and shared them with Palestinian researchers in the occupied West Bank. Jad Isaac, who heads up the Applied Research Institute Jerusalem, says the new line shows Israel now controls nearly 2/3 of Gaza.
The yellow line is amoebic. It keeps changing from one day to another. But roughly I can say that about 64% of Gaza now is excluded and totally under direct Israeli occupation.
Israel says the orange line sets out a restricted zone where aid groups must coordinate their movements with the military. It's to enable
and anybody inside that orange zone is killed
in a complex operational environment, according to Kogat, the Israeli military agency that controls access to Gaza. But thousands of Gazan families are now caught between the lines, according to Palestinian NGO network head Amjad al-Shawa. Civilians located between the two areas are facing a very difficult humanitarian reality, he says. Residents say they lack water and other supplies because aid groups are scared to send staff there. At least 3 Palestinians working with foreign aid groups have been killed in the new restricted zone. Israel's military said it had opened fire after identifying
systemic extermination. Look at that.
Al-Shawa says residents are also regularly being killed and wounded in the area. He says they aren't given warning when the line shifts. According to Kogat, the orange line boundaries are updated according to operational assessments. It declined to comment on the frequency of updates or whether it communicates them to Palestinian civilians. For displaced Gazan Mohammed Jundiyeh, dreams of going home are fading. We were hoping to return, and now we see that they created another line, he says. Aside from the yellow one, now an orange one. When will they stop?
Sadly, they're never going to stop. Nobody's going to stop them. The media excuses this fucking evil is right, Jim Tower. All right, it's awful. It's horrific. Fuck Israel. Look at these tent cities. These people all lived in these buildings until Israel decided that they were going to blow them up. You can't use October 7th anymore as the justification for all of this. Fuck you. Well, you wanted to, you use that because this was your plan the entire time. And now you're talking to Somalia or Somaliland about taking in all of these people right here that live in these tents. And if they're not going to take them in, Israel's just going to murder them. Or starve them out. Systematically. As long as it takes. It's fucking horrible. That's right, Kieran. Fucking cunts. Amen, brother. The cradle. Israeli attacks have also been ongoing across South Lebanon since this morning, including strikes over Arab Salim, Zautar al-Sharqiya, Srifa, Jebkit, Dwer, and Kfar Dunin. And then I saw that there was also new drone footage from overhead in southern Lebanon, and it looks like Gaza. It's completely leveled to the ground. You can see the footprints of houses and streets that were there, and literally it's just outlines now. I mean, this was yesterday or the other day on Sunday. And again, nobody's stopping them from doing this to Lebanon, a sovereign country that never attacked Israel. Eva Bartlett, Indie Media Award honoree. Oh, sorry. Let me go back here. Wrong one. That's the button I wanted to hit. All right, let me read this. This is an article of hers where she says it's infuriating to see rabid Israeli colonials run around freely, abusing Palestinians and destroying Palestinian land, homes, and olive trees. Deir Istaya is personal to her. She spent time there in 2007 and got to know many of the families there. It's a beautiful Palestinian village that at the time back then was always being invaded and put under curfew or lockdown by Israeli army terrorists under false pretexts of security. So this is, some of their quotes that Eva had taken in. This was from her WordPress blog and some of the photos that she had taken from 2007. And now they're starting to burn down these olive fields, these olive tree fields. Beautiful, ancient. We've been talking about this guy for too long. Dr. Hussam Abu Safia. Once again, and this was just the other day, on April 30th, last Thursday, Israeli authorities have extended the detention of Palestinian Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, while he continues to be held under harsh and inhumane conditions, including torture and severe beatings that left him with fractured ribs. And you can be sure he's not getting the medical attention to rehab. Since October of 2023, more than 1,700 health workers have been killed in Gaza by the Israeli military. Terrorists. I mean, the Israeli military are the terrorists. Dr. Abu Safia must not become just another name on this toll. And this is a 2-minute, 25-second video from Euromed Monitor. I don't want to play the music because I'll get in trouble for that. New extension on the detention without any charges filed against him. And remember that now they have this rule where if they do charge him and he's found guilty, they've got 90 days to try him and they can hang him after that. It's horrible. Director of Kamal Adwan Hospital, arbitrarily detained by the Israeli army after it attacked and stormed the hospital. He walked into that tank, and that's the last time we saw him, other than being escorted in handcuffs. Doctor who saved hundreds of patients and wounded, now facing inhumane conditions and torture inside Israeli prisons. He saw his son killed and then went back to work to operate and take care of other Palestinian children. Completely cut off from the outside world. He's lost more than 40 stone, 40 kilograms of weight. Subject to brutal beatings that fractured his ribs and bones. Like, what? I know, the punishment is the point. The torture is the point. He said 4 jailers that last July dragged him crawling to his lawyer. He was forbidden from lifting his head or back, blindfolded and shackled with iron chains, just treated like an animal. Here's his lawyer saying that he wasn't well. He's severely beaten. And then, of course, we have Dr. Yipeng Ji from Toronto, who's led this campaign to see his friend freed. Again, more than 1,700 workers through April 30th have been killed. The world cannot accept the killing of another doctor. This is from Euromed Monitor, by the way. Euromed Human Rights Monitor. Fuck Israel for that. I thought I had one more. I guess not. Wait, I had one more. Give me 1 sec. Let me find it in the document. I guess not. Settler attacks. Nope, that's it. That was it for Fuck Israel. Yay, okay, we got through it faster than I thought we would. Fuck Israel. All right. Oh, now I remember what it was. And I'll get to it in a few minutes because we're going to talk about the hypocrisy of World Press Freedom Day, which could have been part of this segment or could have been a segment on its own. I'm going to put it in the lightning round. So, stealing might lands. The only thing Netanyahu does is steal and kill since 1967. Israelis are evil on earth. Yes, I agree. Yeah, those aren't lines. Those are people. Absolutely. Kieran recommends subscribing to the Crispin Flintoff show. I have not been a subscriber, but that was a good tweet, and I'll take your word for it. Man, it's just it. They continue to have no impunity on everything they do, everywhere it seems, and it's so disheartening to see them just get away with things that nobody else would. Nobody else would be able to get away with stuff like this. But somehow they're able to. And nobody else, nowhere else except here and a few other outlets are you going to see that level of fuck Israel. So support independent media because nobody else is going to do that for us except for you guys. We are fully user funded. Those are the people that have already done that. We really appreciate and love them. That's the Wall of Fame. The ways to join that Wall of Fame, Cash App, $ Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network as friends and family, patreon.com/Indie News Network monthly. Over on the Substacks, IndieMediaToday.com. We're live there now. INNNewsletter.com. I'll be live there Thursday and on Sunday night for Boat Smashing and Other Boats. There's a weekly update Friday afternoon. And then, of course, IndieNewsNow.com. It's the name of the show because a lot of the articles that I'm using for this show come from the website that curates independent news 24/7 that we built and host completely free to all. Bookmark it, use it, come back there every day, and you'll see a different set of stories every day. Okay, where are we here? Perfect. We are up to our lightning round. But before we get to that, hi, everybody. What else is happening out there? Scenting Bloom feel better? I know, yeah, she doesn't feel so great today. More like the Scenting Gloom tonight. Sorry about that. Hopefully, we'll cheer you up a little bit with a story. The Banksy story might have cheered you up. I know there's a lot of negativity here too, and all the stuff going on with what's happening in Ohio, and you got what's his name, Vivek running for governor, and Wexner running the state and everything. Karen Peterson over on Rumble, what's up? Good to see you. Okay, so we have got a quick lightning round. Then we'll do the GoFundMe's. And we'll cut out for the night. Okay, first story for the lightning round. This one is frustrating. Outrageous. ICE dragged a 10-year-old boy into court alone. No lawyer, no mother, no mercy. Wilfredo wet himself and sat in soaked clothes for hours, no change offered. I was scared, he said. I'm a parent of 2 10-year-olds. I can't imagine. His mom was taken at a traffic stop 4 months ago. They're Venezuelan asylum seekers. Now ICE wants to deport this child alone to Ecuador, a country he's never seen, where he knows no one. What are they going to do? They're going to put this a homeless kid on the street?
Boy had to appear before a judge without legal representation, accompanied only by his mother's former boss. Lydia Terrazas spoke with the boy and his caregiver.
I was nervous because it was my first time going to court.
At 10 years old, Wilfredo, who does not have a lawyer, appeared in immigration court. Beyond was the judge in the middle. After the Department of Home...
How is he not allowed to have a lawyer? How is he allowed to not have a lawyer? Better question.
Homeland Security requested his deportation to a third country. Like any young child, it was hard for him to understand who was in the hearing.
The lawyer of... how do I know?
From the Department of Homeland Security, from ICE. Wilfredo is originally from Venezuela. He and his mother, Nexoli Gomez, have a pending asylum case. But she was detained several months ago during a traffic stop in Houston, Texas. Since then, Marif Mosquera, the child's mother's former boss, is his legal guardian.
We already received a letter that they tried to deport him to Ecuador, and he has no family there. He only has his mom.
She accompanied him to the hearing, and since the Trump administration has taken measures to expedite the deportation of migrant children, she fears for what may happen to the minor.
One of the fears is that ICE takes him and puts him in detention. As much as that, he could also be deported.
She claims she was informed that due to the mother's detention, Wilfredo's case is now independent. Meanwhile, the boy misses his mom. He has lost a lot of weight and his school performance is not the same.
She
Can you
encouraged me a
imagine
lot
why?
to keep me motivated, but it's the same.
Through tears, he took advantage of the cameras from En Masse Univision to send a message. What a shame. According to legal experts, children as young as 4 years old are being forced to repeatedly appear before immigration courts and provide updates on their cases in short time frames, sometimes without legal representation, as is the case with Wilfredo. We have requested more information from the Department of Homeland Security about the attempts to deport Wilfredo to a third country and are still waiting for a response.
No words. No words. The monsters who are doing this need to be brought up on charges and locked away for a long time. This is not like, what? And not enough people are talking about this at all. So fuck ICE for that. Now this could again have been in our Fuck Israel segment, but this has to do with World Press Freedom Day. This was actually the day after, but Asal Rod, journalist and college professor, the lack of news on Gaza isn't because the genocide's over. It's because Israel slaughtered the journalists and Western media pretends that there's a ceasefire. Because here were massacres against Palestinian civilians in Gaza, which were still being carried out yesterday by Israel. Just minutes ago, another massacre occurred in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood. All this fire. All this devastation. So, we are the peace. Today, May 3rd, is World Press Freedom Day. Israel has murdered 363 journalists in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Iran, and Yemen and Syria in just 940 days since October 7th of 2023. And the source again there is stopmurderingjournalists.com. And each one of these helmets represents, let's go back, one journalist killed by Israel. Got one. Oh, wait, let me back this up so you can see the whole thing. How many pages of helmets? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Onto an 8th page. But these weren't just helmets. These were people. The hardest part about making this collage was realizing how small we had to make the photos just to fit everything into Instagram slides. And here are the faces of 363 journalists, some of whom Israel has tried to smear as a combatant, many of whom you see wearing their press vests. It's a joke. It's a disgrace. Some may argue that the IOF didn't murder Saleh al-Jafari. Saleh was killed by Yasser Abu Shabab's militia, which was financially backed and created by Israel during a genocide. So you want to split hairs over one or two names? No, Israel's responsible for these people's being dead. All of them. All of them. And we go back to Indie Media Award honoree Eva Bartlett. World Press Freedom Day, a meaningless day for journalists under the bombs of the West's allies. The RSF Press Freedom Index listing, which I'll show below, shows just how corrupt the so-called journalist projection advocacy orgs like CPJ, RSF, etc. are with Israel. The serial killer of journalists in Palestine and Lebanon only listed at number 116. The number of Lebanese and Palestinian journalists slaughtered by Israel is hugely downplayed by organizations like Reporters Without Borders and the Committee to Protect Journalists and others. Reporters Without Borders lists Ukraine at number 55 and makes zero mention of the 7 Russian journalists killed by Ukrainian drones or precision missile attacks in 2025. Nor does CPJ list these slave journalists. They don't count because they're Russian. It's obscene that these NGOs concerned with press freedom, quote unquote, continue to largely whitewash Israel as well as Ukraine. They also whitewashed Assange, if I remember correctly. In January 2024, I wrote about Reporters Without Borders, Eva did, downplaying the number of journalists in Gaza killed by Israel. Okay, then at the end of 23, Reporters Without Borders, the international organization, released its annual report. The paper had massively downplayed the widespread and deliberate targeting of Palestinian journalists at that point. The report's titled, Roundup, 45 journalists killed in the line of duty worldwide, a drop despite the tragedy in Gaza, excludes most of the Palestinian journalists killed by Israel in 2023, particularly in the past few months. It claims 16 fewer journalists were killed worldwide in 2023 than in 2022. That doesn't reflect reality. The report claimed that as of December 1st, 2023, now that was just 9 days before they murdered Rifat al-Arir, only 13 Palestinian journalists were killed while actively reporting, noting separately that 56 journalists were killed in Gaza if we include journalists killed in circumstances unproven to be related to their duties. Existing is related to their fucking duties. What are you kidding? Unproven. These clowns. Other sources put the overall number of Palestinian journalists killed in the enclave much higher. The UN's Office for the Coordination of Human Affairs on December 1st said that 73 journalists and media workers have been killed, citing the Palestinian Journalist Syndicate. In 2024, she wrote about them then, over 30 Russian journalists that Ukraine had killed since 2014. The number is now closer to 40. Meanwhile, the EU continues to sanction journalists for their reporting, while EU heads chirp about press freedom. Same thing here. What an absolutely maddening farce. Eritrea is number 180 on the list. Right, again, Israel, even though they're murdering the hundreds of journalists with impunity, is somehow only ranked number 116, and there are somehow 64 countries below them? What? Stunning. Farce is right. All right. And I also wanted to mention, and I dropped under Eva's thing, to remember Hussein Dogru, not just the Palestinian journalists, but the sanctioned journalist in the EU who is being persecuted for his reporting on Palestine. Again, here's that list. And I'll link all these in the Substack afterwards. But speaking of Hussein Dogru, and we've talked about him too many times, for the last year or so, he shut down Red Media because of sanctions from the German government. Then he was personally sanctioned to the point where he could only take out £600, €600 a month out of his bank account, and nobody in the world is allowed to help him financially. It's some kind of restrictive sanctions. We've talked about that. Remember that this guy's a journalist. So on World Press Freedom Day, you can't make this up. Here are the posters on his doorstep. Free press, protect what matters to us. The very same EU council that literally sanctioned him for exactly that. This is definitely going to be his campaign poster. Unbelievable. There he is pointing to this thing. All over his city. Okay. And what he's talking about here is Ursula von der Leyen posted, freedom of speech is the foundation of our strong and vibrant European democracy. We're all proud of it. We protect it. Remember that her grandfather's literally a Nazi. Okay. And here's the, you literally sanctioned me for exercising my freedom of speech. So tell me about how you care about freedom of speech on World Press Freedom Day. Cunt. Fuck Israel, because you know it's Israel is the reason behind all of this. And of course, also on World Press Freedom Day, let's not forget one of the people that radicalized me. Okay, you know her name, Shireen Abu Akleh. On the morning of May 11th, 2022, she put on her press vest, marked clearly with the word press, and went to cover an Israeli raid in Jenin. She was shot in the head within minutes of arriving. She was one of the most recognizable journalists in the Arab world, a face that millions trusted for over 2 decades on Al Jazeera. The bullet that killed her came from Israeli military fire. Multiple investigations, including one by the United States government, confirmed it. Israel called it unintentional. No one was charged. Abu Akleh had reported from Palestinian territories since 1997, covering the Second Intifada, the siege of Ramallah, and the daily reality of life under occupation when few Western outlets were present. Her death triggered a global outcry. The way that they treated her funeral was even more outrageous. At her funeral in Jerusalem, Israeli police beat mourners carrying her coffin, her pallbearers. The images circled the world before her body reached the ground. She spent 25 years making sure people could not claim that they didn't know what was happening. Then she was killed doing exactly that. Follow, know her name, a new name every day. And that is Shireen Abu Akleh. Killed in May 2022. And honestly, that moment and seeing her killed and then seeing the way they treated her funeral and her funeral procession and the way that they attacked her pallbearers to try to get them to drop her casket was one of the most disgraceful things I'd ever seen, and literally turned me completely against Israel at that point. Even if I had been wavering, even at 5%, that told me, you know, that and the blowing up of the Reuters building, the Associated Press building in Gaza, told me they didn't care anything about even the Western press there. They didn't care about anything in Gaza. They didn't care about Palestinians at all. They didn't care about anything. They just wanted to take the entire thing and destroy it all. So fuck Israel for all that. Again, World Press Freedom Day, 2026. What a joke. Hypocrisy at its finest. Now, finally, I'm going to skip through a lot of this article from my brother, Golden Monarch, who is in the chat, I'm guessing. I love you. This is a great article where he breaks down a lot of the attendees at this Bitcoin 2026 conference, Las Vegas. And he gives us a wonderful summary at the end that I'm just going to jump to. If you thought that the Bitcoin 2026 conference was complete shit, I can't imagine 2027's being any different. Besides the usual horseshit that came out of Michael Saylor's mouth to desperately keep Bitcoin and stablecoins relevant with current and potentially future investors, suckers, or Natalie Brunell's soft peddling of questions, or her half-baked joke of introducing the traitorous cypherpunk Adam Andy Backus Satoshi, I noticed a few unusual moments from the conference. And this is what I thought was most significant. Eric Trump could not get even a mild applause, spelling error, brother, from the audience, and a bullshit bombshell of the U.S. government holding 300,000 Bitcoin that won't be sold. Jack Dorsey announced the premiere of the film The $6 Billionaire Man, describing the Bitcoin pioneer and freedom fighter, Julian Assange. I recently reacted to his announcement. It is sus, very sus. But it does confirm Monarch's suspicion even more that Dorsey was the anonymous Bitcoin donor who back in 2024 personally donated over 8 Bitcoin to cover Julian's private jet cost. Conclusion? WikiLeaks has been partnering with Dorsey behind the scenes this whole time. That's his conclusion. That's his speculation. There was also a privacy protest within the Venetian resort that was cringe and about as effective and draining as the No Kings protest. Then you had the mooch, Anthony Scaramucci, fist pumping with Eric Trump, as if nobody was paying attention to the fact that Scaramucci briefly served in Trump's first admin and was one of many who previously promoted Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX fraud. Scaramucci's just another clown who goes on safe spaces such as Bloomberg and CNBC and even Brunel's Coin Stories podcast to promote bullshit, spew nonsense, all while having the least amount of pushback. This is just a clown show and hucksters, and I'm sure Valentina Gonzalez was probably there too, right? Don't bother wasting even a nickel supporting these fraudulent conferences. Down the road, these scam fests are worth being abolished. It's literally just self-serving. They're only paying themselves, who's funding all of this? It's Michael Saylor. It's the Bitcoin office. But Bitcoin has no central office. Bitcoin has no marketing agency. So it's like, what? Very difficult to really assess that. Finally, I also published a very quick article, which is more like something akin to what I used to do before May 7th of 2023, when I decided to stop publishing a daily update of independent news from across different sources. And I used to publish a Substack every day or twice a day of articles and videos to check out. And this is kind of in that vein where I'm just linking to a couple of videos that I thought people should pay attention to if it hadn't come across their feed. All right. One of them is from Truth Stream Media. Melissa Dykes. I love her voice. I think she's great. I don't agree with 100% everything they have to say, but I love the way that they think, and I love the questions that they ask and the way that they're always asking questions. Then we had Wheezy from What is Truth, who hosted Ryan Christian, who I'm a massive fan of. Indie Media Award honoree Ryan is. Okay, you can check that out on Odyssey or on Rumble. Then another Indie Media Award honoree, Richard Medhurst. He's been doing bang-up analysis about the global energy coup that's been happening that the United States is orchestrating. And he's laid out a case that Chevron and U.S. oil and energy companies have really stood to benefit from all of these seemingly random acts of craziness around the world, from Venezuela to Iran to Syria to attacking Russia. But it really is to capture the global energy market and to put a squeeze on China's largest suppliers as well. So that's a fascinating article and video to watch. Okay, and then finally, I've been following this guy for a while, Phil Rockstro. Check out his article, What Do We Anti-Zionist Jews Talk About When We Talk About Zionism? I thought that was really good piece. And of course, I mentioned IndieNewsNow.com. this is what it looks like right now, but because it updates 24/7, if I refresh it, I'll get a different set of articles, and that Hervoye article that was there is now third because 2 new things have come in since. It literally publishes in real time. And you're getting stuff from Dave DeCamp and from Geopolitics and Empire and Anti-War and The Dissident and Israel-Palestine News. And, of course, all the INN videos as well. Declassify UK, A Skeptic with his updates and reports on a daily basis. All right, that's an incredible curator. He's now publishing like 5 different Substacks every day because he's curating so much throughout the day. He's got a report from Middle East Africa. He's got one based upon here's what mainstream media is saying, and curating all of that into one central post. What YouTubers he follows, 2 parts to a YouTube report. People who he follows on Substacks and Telegram, and then alternative media. So you've got a lot of reporting just coming from A Skeptic, Simplicius, Dissent in Bloom, Arturo Dominguez from Decolonized Journalism, Unicorn Riot, another Indie Media Award honoree, Sam Husseini, yet another Indie Media Award honoree. Are you getting a theme here? We're trying to only pull from the best and the brightest and the ad-free, like Greg Reese from the Reese Report as well. So check out IndieNewsNow.com. You can, again, pick up some merch right at the top of that merch store. We're going to talk about Shanda in a minute. Is that Shanda Master Fuck Cancer collection, but also all the other INN merch. We deserve better psyops. When people are occupied, resistance is justified. Still one of my favorite phrases. That's, I think, a Kwame Ture phrase. So go get yourself some merch. Anna and a couple of people actually picked up. Oz got a hoodie for Shanda. Anna got a tank top. Anna's man Andy got a hoodie. So I haven't heard of anybody getting T-shirts yet, but Oz said he's going to order a bunch to give away soon. So I'm looking forward to that. Those did start delivering, so you can order these from the Indie News shop and have it delivered within a week or so. Okay, everyone. So yeah, we just had the GoFundMe's to get to. We're doing well on time. I would like to again say hi to everyone. Rhyming, slang, shaming. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. Kieran, good to see you. Cynic is in chat. What's up, Cynic? How are you, sister? She was over on Twitter for a minute. I don't know if she's still there. And we're gonna get to the GoFundMe's. We do this every week. I firmly believe that we need to use our platform to amplify cases of people that are in our audience and close to us who need help. And I would like, if there's anyone else that has a story that needs help, let us know. I know Mikhail Neelio Nostrum at one point had asked if there were any other GoFundMe's and stories and things. Yes. I mean, if it is relevant to what we do here and affect someone that directly in our audience here specifically, I would much prefer to focus on a story like that we actually have personal kind of some kind of personal feeling toward. Of course, we can also look at amplifying pro-Palestine at some Palestinian fundraisers. The hard thing with those is we don't know which ones are real and which ones are not. And if the money actually gets to them and how, and the logistics of that, I'm so concerned about that, but I would love to help them. In the meantime, let's get to the ones that we're going to cover tonight, which is Natalia. And we talked a little bit about that child earlier tonight that ICE wants to deport to Ecuador, Venezuelan child. His mother was pulled over on a routine traffic stop by ICE and imprisoned, found to be in violation of an asylum claim, or and going through the process. Natalia was also going through the process, but Natalia actually had asylum and had a letter of asylum, but ICE didn't care. And she's pending appeal. They want to deport her to Ukraine. She is locked up in an ICE detention facility in Ohio right now. and pending appeal, and we don't know when the next appeal hearing is going to be, because there's no more, I guess, right to a speedy trial or have any idea when things are moving in the process anymore. Our friend Cowboy Kitty that organized this also spoke to her on the phone last month. She told him that she's losing weight. The food is terrible. It's sometimes got mold, that nobody there speaks her language and they don't bring any translators in, that there are people are getting sick, and that she would tell us more, but that she's not comfortable speaking on a monitored line about it. So we need to get her out. Any amount that you could give would really be greatly helpful and appreciated. I will drop, again, this link in all of the chats so that if you want to help her out, and even 10, 20, 50 bucks makes a big difference. I said that last week, and I'll continue to say it. We'll also talk about justice for Aspen. And again, this is personal for me, because Aspen's mom and I protested on behalf of Julian Assange together for years. And Aspen was the victim of circumstance. She was a passenger in an RV. They all went to a music festival together, and on the way home, the RV gets pulled over. The vehicle is searched on suspicion, and they find mass quantities of drugs in the vehicle. She did not know they were in the car. The driver tells the cops she didn't know. They, of course, didn't believe her, didn't believe the driver. And she's then locked up for 2 weeks plus 15 days in a detention facility. Halo drives from Oklahoma, where they live, out to Georgia, and is sleeping in her car in the parking lot until she can get her daughter out for 2 weeks. Oh my God. Go watch our one-on-one. You can listen to her tell the story. Go watch the fundraiser that we did, the Justice for Aspen fundraiser at the end of October. Go read the article that Dissent in Bloom wrote about her story. You can purchase some of Aspen's artwork. And this is all at the link tree that we set up for Aspen, linktr.ee/justice and the number for Aspen. It's just terrible. She's also autistic and vegan. So the food in prison was making her sick. And on top of that, she can't process things quickly enough. Sometimes when a guard was yelling instructions at her, she couldn't even really understand what they were saying, and she would be punished for not responding quickly enough. So we need to hire experts and lawyers and, of course, pay for living expenses while she is fighting this. But she's literally facing decades in prison for trafficking. Awful. I mean, free justice. Justice for Aspen, really. Free Aspen. She's free right now. She's out. But at some point, she'll have a trial. And then if she is found guilty of trafficking, she will unfortunately have to spend time based on however she's sentenced. And so we're hoping to never have to get her to that point. We'd like to see the charges dropped at some point, or a mistrial called for whatever reason. So, and that is, again, Justice for Aspen. Thank you, Kieran, Justice for Aspen. And Kieran was instrumental, along with Charlie Mack, in organizing that Justice for Aspen fundraiser. I can't tell him how much I appreciate him and his dedication to that. Okay, finally we have Shanda. And everybody knows it's now been more than 30 days since we lost Shanda. I miss her all the time. Her memory is very strong. We talk about her every day. And we're going to continue to talk about her and remember her well. And remember all the positive contributions she made and how much she loved everybody and how suspicious she was of all the narratives. And we're going to put up our sunflowers for Shanda. And like I said, some of the first T-shirts were actually going out. Some of the first merch in the the Fuck Cancer collection. Shanda Masta's Fuck Cancer collection that we put in the INN shop, the Indie News shop. Okay, where you can pick up a tank top or a hoodie or a T-shirt and represent her out in the world And then when people ask about her, you can tell her story and tell about how bravely she fought cancer and kicked its ass 3 times. And it just kept coming back, and it kept attacking her salt, which is different, unlike most cancers. And yep, celebrate the life, never mourn the loss. That's right, Sean. We just miss her, but yes, we do celebrate the life. And yeah, we are all lucky to have known her. And there were a couple of people that have watched our live streams and that did not know her that said, man, I regret not paying attention sooner or not getting to know her before. She was just an incredible person that touched so many people. And we love you, Shanda. Again, we miss you. Oh, right. And of course, Shanda, along with her brother Oz, or her friend and best friend, and not really brother, but co-host for Beauty and the Boomer, were both Indie Media Award honorees for the year of 2023 for live streaming and podcasting. We stopped issuing new after 2024. We didn't do one in 25. I don't know what to do about 2026 and whether I'm going to continue these awards or not. I have some people I might think would be worthy. There are also some people from prior years that I kind of wish I hadn't. But I'm very glad and honored that we did this when we did. That Zago Brothers made such beautiful artwork for the honorees that were there, that we did have. And she used this, she said, as her hospital photo, for the app for her hospital. And they all loved it. And Oz uses it regularly. And again, it's a great honor to me that they held it in such high regard. And man, it hurts. It still does. But anyway. So she has a GoFundMe still. Her GoFundMe is still up. So if you are able to, there are still final expenses. There are still hospital expenses that her family is incurring. So if there's any money available to help, that's a great cause to have it go to. And any profits that we make on the t-shirts or on the merch for the Shanda collection will also go towards those expenses. Okay, everyone. Look at that. We got out of here before midnight. Holy crap. This was a relatively quick show. That was a couple of crazy stories. That Banksy thing was I still don't know how to feel about Banksy. Like, I still think it's a brilliant piece of art. I also do think that there are people that are either looking the other way or that might have been in cahoots or on board or even paved a way. Reef suggested that it could have even been like a yellow vest kind of movement where they have a couple of people on the inside of certain things that could turn a camera off, for example, so that the surveillance wouldn't be there, or somebody on a police something somewhere that would kind of make sure that they were steered in the other direction, a dispatcher, whatever, kind of like a Fight Club thing where you've got a secret network of people that are all that's all just, again, fantasy. We don't know what happened. We're going to find out, I'm sure, in the coming months and years. It'll come out eventually, the story. But I just thought it was interesting to look at it from not just the angle of, wow, this is an incredible piece of art and it's amazing that he was able to get it in there, but also to question just how, and the fact that nobody, where, again, if this were something that were pro-Palestine, what would have happened. They would have torn that statue down instantly and sicked the entire London Metro Police Department after a manhunt to find the people that put it up. So I do think, and I subscribe to the Ryan Christian theory of question everything. And I do like to question everything. All right. So yeah, we're gonna get out of here for tonight. Thank you again. Appreciate that, Karen. And we're not mourning who or what we miss. I mean, we celebrate her life, and I love you. I love her for that. And you know, we don't want to remain in mourning. We have to continue to. She wouldn't want us to remain in that period. She'd want us to continue to move on and honor her memory, which I think we're doing in multiple ways. And we're going to continue to do that. But thank you for all your support, and I love you all. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. Oh, next Tuesday night, very important. I will not be here. I'm going to be on a business trip. So next Tuesday night, I'm going to take the 2 reads that I did of the 2 halves of the Whitney Webb article about New Albany and stitch them together and do 1 2-hour and 40-minute live stream with just that one article read, part 1 and part 2 stitched together. And I'll jump in chat probably toward the end of the night. But I love you all. Again, support independent media because we need it more than ever. And I'll see you in 2 Tuesday nights, fam. Love you. Good night, everyone. No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say? So
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want?